Welcome back, Troglodytes, to your daily dose of guitar information, the Trogly's Guitar Show. Hey, the website's back to being completely messed up again. It was a complete fire show for about 20 minutes. I was able to see the first 4 guitars and then the website was just down. So Gibson, we're getting 502 errors, we're getting our service is not available right now. Or my favorite, when you finally get something in your cart and it doesn't actually load the part where you need to put your name and address in so you can continue to shipping. Or maybe you get all the way to the credit card page and it just gets frozen at processing payment. This screen has been up for 4 days. It ended up being faster for me just to restart the whole process again. And yes, I did get something this week, so see if you can guess what it is. But man, this was a great week. A whole bunch of weird stuff. Let's start talking about them. We're getting close to October, so we're seeing some spooky stuff. Here's a Les Paul Custom in Pumpkin Spangle. All right, it's an orange Les Paul Custom. Got your typical gold hardware. It's a non-reissue style, just a regular custom. But, you know, black-orange, it works for your Halloween colors. But hey, look at this. We've got the black satin finish neck, whereas the rest appears to maybe be a gloss finish. I like that. You just need a little spooky pumpkin guy back here. And now a Les Paul Classic in red wine burst. Definitely going for another spooky theme here. This almost looks like one of the Slash Vermilions, except for they just sprayed it over in black again, so it really just darkens it all up. But, oh, what is that? At first I thought that was 4 kill switches, but no, it looks like they're just weird knobs. Kind of hard to tell, but they've definitely been painted over too. The pickguard looks like it might be a little bit special too, kind of hard to tell. But hey, for $2,300 you get the burst on the back and the neck and the headstock just like in the 70s? That's actually really cool for a classic. And okay, I see we've got dark tortoiseshell backplates, so that means the pickguard is probably tortoiseshell too. So definitely a cool pickup if you like the satin finish. But how's this for a $355? A grape purple with ultra aged binding. Awesome purple and gold vibes going on here. You get a little bit of red and white. I would say it's objectively cooler than the Noel Gallagher 355, but then you get kind of an interesting choice here. A natural back of the neck. Not quite sure I agree with that choice, but the whole natural and purple does look pretty good together. And it was offered at $6,200, which isn't that bad for a $355. Well, let's check out this spooky tribute. We've got our red and black bobbins on it, completely blacked out. Okay, looks like they just have a whole batch of these weird Halloween knobs. If you happen to have purchased a guitar that has those knobs, please send me a photo to my email. But there's nothing fancy going on the back. But if the voodoo pickups aren't enough for you, how about a red Gibson logo to complete the vibe? However, unfortunately, it looks like it was applied just slightly off-center. But hey, it actually comes with a case, which a tribute normally doesn't. Here's another custom color Trini Lopez, this time in what they call Aqua Pelham for almost $7,000. I'll say I like it. That's a nice blue burst color. It works well on this model, but what's going on with our headstock? I didn't notice that on launch day. They gave it a blue Gibson silkscreen. Would have been cooler if it was mother of pearl, but okay. At least it's a little bit more special. But that's probably what they did, was just spray the headstock blue. And it was a complete refinish. Oh, see, this is why you watch my show, because Gibson's made it harder than ever to actually view all the photos. At a glance, I completely missed this. They pinstripe the back. I really like that. I'm usually kind of iffy on pinstripes. I've started to appreciate them a little bit more here and there, but this, I like it. It's subtle, it's on the back, only the player's really going to see it. For some reason, it gives me princess vibes. I don't know. I mean, why didn't they mention that anywhere? But now look at this crazy thing. It's just labeled Firebird. It's $2,600 and they call it Crimson Oculi. In case you don't know, Oculi, based off of Oculus, a round or eye-like opening or design, and crimson for red. This really kind of reminds me of like my Monster Stratocaster that I'd used for last year's Halloween episode. I'm not normally into creepy things, but this, it's kind of cool. It's got the whole black and red, so those are spooky vibes. They got the mix-matched hardware. You've got the single pickup. I kind of wish they would have went for like a humbucker or something just to kind of make this more special than it is. But it's got a matching headstock. And then I was impressed to see that they did the entire guitar. They didn't just skimp out and do the top with the creepy eyes and vine design. So yeah, whoever got that one, enjoy your Halloween. Next up, they might call this one Historic Burst, but I'd call it Spooky Pumpkin Burst. It's like perfect jack-o'-lantern vibes. I love this. Fall colors are always so good on guitars. Now it appears it's probably a satin finish, but the gold hardware with the extra yellowed lacquer that you can see on your headstock looks like even a brass truss rod cover. This thing's got some serious vibes. Now the back, a little bit less impressive, but it's interesting because you actually have like a natural mahogany wooden color here, and then just the burst there. And hey, you've got some wood grain going around. But I'm gonna admit, I completely missed this one at launch, Perse Burst. Or is it meant to be Perse? I don't know, you tell me. I just thought this was like a black custom, but no, it's dark purple sparkle. I can tell you right now, that is gonna look awesome in person. It's just showing up too dark in these photos. Take that puppy out in the light, yes. P94 in the neck, uncovered bridge pickup, all blacked out, including your fretboard, naturally. So your inlays match your binding. Ah, man. Oh! And the matching headstock too. I love the super blue in these inlays too. And super historic style truss rod cover. Let me guess, locking tuners too? Ah, come on. This thing was so well spec'd, and it's got one of those Demo Shop 0028 serials. But what's interesting is it says satin body. So that looks like a gloss top, but the rest is satin. However, look in here. Does that still have the natural side? Yeah, confirmed. You can see the natural side right there. But now we've got the standard 50s being called the Scarlet Stuntman. It's interesting. It's not my favorite, but you've got some lines on it. You've got a little bit of a cool flame top. You get the red pickup rings. We haven't been seeing them doing that as often, and the white knobs are a nice touch with the mixed hardware. But, oh, getting kind of close to something that might be controversial here, but I would say the back is a little bit more interesting than the front was. Then they had the 64 standard reissue in Evening Sea. If you're in the market for a unique SG that doesn't have the big large pickguard on it, it's alright. You've got your high performance style knobs, dual P94 pickups. Looks like we got those acoustic style tuners on it, the open backed ones, and it's a complete refin. Also offered was a magnetic blast, which was a 335 figured, except for it was all satin. I don't know, perhaps this has a cool metallic sheen to it in person that we just can't appreciate here, but for me, it's a nah. I mean, at least we get the widowed over headstock. But all right, I think we're starting to see some of the majesty of this finish on the back here. So it's gonna be like maybe a peekaboo burst, because you can see it's like almost non-existent right here, but you can definitely tell there is some sort of a burst. So it's sold, so if the owner sees this, please send me some photos, but I'm betting that's gonna be one that's gonna be way cooler in person. But check this 64 335 out. Brunswick Blue Gloss. So this is one I think a lot of people saw. It's a Lefty. They're like, nah. And then the lefties that did see it, maybe they didn't know how cool Brunswick Blue Sparkle is. Check out this review and demo of the modern double cut that I documented in this color. It looks way better in person. But that blue with kind of the yellowed over binding works incredibly well. No matching headstock, but I think you can kind of see some of the beauty of the finish in that photo. And the color's all over. Then we had one of these fun things, triple P90 wrap-tail gold top. You guys know me, I love my P90 equipped guitars, especially the triple ones, because they're just so few and far between. We've seen this done before, but I don't think the other ones were all gold, so it's not just a gold top. And that's a nice dark fretboard on that one, being offered at $39. And then this Les Paul Classic is in gold bar burst at $25. I'm sorry, I like green and black guitars, but this one just looks like puke burst to me. But I suppose it's got some Halloween-y vibes. B94, apparently they've got a whole bunch of those they need to use up. Or maybe they just buy them specifically because they're different. People haven't experienced a lot of those. But then the back is just black. There was this regular 335, or at least I thought. It says it's 335, but it's got the 345 inlays, so that either means it was a factory mistake, or this is actually a 45. But interesting pickup choice, 496R? I was just watching an Andertons video, and he was like, who on earth plays a black 335? Why do we have this in the store? And ever since then, I kind of had a more appreciation of these pure ebony beasts. Then we had the Moon Sparkle last week. This time they just called it Silver Gloss. 5200, not too much to say on that. Just a cool custom color. But that's kind of funny. Moonbeam Sparkle is still available, and it was like $1,500 more expensive. No wonder the other one sold. I mean, objectively, these look about the same. However, as we were talking last time, I think this actually has a border to it that will change colors, because you can kind of see it coming in there. Then we had a Silverburst that they played with our pickups a little bit, but it has an extra dark border. It's either that or the neck is extra white. There was a blacked out Explorer. Besides messing with the pickups, you got a new pickguard. A regular standard 60s with a few modifications, pickup and plastic wise. Pretty standard SG base. And that wraps everything up. So pretty good week overall. Let's check out the demo shop now. Now, I really filtered through this. There is a lot of great players, grade stuff this week. Same thing with the European side, but I'm just going to show you the ones that stood out to me. So there was a 54 Les Paul reissue. This time it doesn't have the middle pickup that we saw in the mod collection. However, can we all agree that this looks really cool? But this radiant red metallic finish with the black plastics and the gold. Excellent. Chef's kiss style stuff. And it even has the low Gibson logo, which you're gonna love if you're a historian, or you're just gonna think they messed up otherwise. But then you flip it over to the back and look at that. It's a complete refinish. And it's still being offered at a discount. Snap that puppy up. Or if red's not your style and you're more traditional, try this gold top. The super double gold finish, it's got all the same things going on, but I think the red wears it better. However, this one has the natural back and sides. At the time of recording, this is the only thing that's sold on the demo shop this week. One guitar, it was a Les Paul tribute that they called Thai Tea Fade Satin. And honestly, it just kind of reminds me of like one of the Epiphone finishes. I didn't think it looked that good, but somebody fell in love with it, and that's okay. Because even if this isn't your style, going from really dark to light, and they didn't do anything too fancy on the back, but at least the headstock got the old pre-war Gibson style logo to give this a little more something something. And they upgraded you to a hardshell case. This 60 standard they called Burnt Orange Burst. CME just recently came out with a new exclusive finish called Tomato Soup or something like that for the 60 standard. But this is on a classic, so it definitely is something that they did themselves. So if you're into the really, really red bursts, I guess it's okay. Then we had an Epiphone Frontier, and honestly, this is probably the most boring guitar we've seen. I mean, it's got cool inlays yet, but they took your cool pick guard away, which I get it. It takes up a lot of real estate on that particular model, but that's what gives its identity. I mean, it's like taking the dove away from the dove. Unless you're Elvis, you can't pull it off. And I thought this 58 standard looked particularly nice, but I'm a huge fan of factory burst finish. And that top on a 58 is very good. And then a lonely, unassuming 63 Les Paul SG reissue type guitar. It's got your 64 style Maestro Vibrola. I wasn't even going to talk about it, but then Stinger happened. I'm not sure if Black Stinger works on all white guitar though. And now the European side of things. I mean, take a good look on the screen because I'm only going to talk about a couple of these. Because most of this was just players' grade stuff that was a good deal. But let's start with this traditional Pro 5. I've really come to appreciate this top. It reminds me of going deep down in the ocean. Like you get a little bit of ripple waves at the top, but as you go deeper and down, you get the currents, you get fish swimming by. It just gets a little bit more insane. And that matches all this. Like you still have a little bit of sunlight on it and it's like refracting and then it just gets deep and dark. I mean, this top tells a story. The finish tells a story, and people like Blueberry Burst in general. So I thought that was nice, except for the terribly fonted Trad Pro 5 truss rod cover. They had an LOO, kind of gives me Nick Lucas vibes. How does this guitar relate to SpongeBob? Watch this episode to find out. No, seriously, please watch that episode. That one is so underrated, but this one, being a modern day guitar, looks pretty darn vintage, but that logo certainly helps. There's another nice 59 standard, looks like light age, potentially Murphy division. But okay, this is one of those early ones that is starting to chip away. So we've seen a few of these, but I would say the areas that this has started to chip away in actually looks pretty good as far as aging jobs go. But yep, there we see. But I love their honesty here. Note, finish likely to continue to chip. Man, I need to get one of these because I guarantee you in 30, 40 years, they're going to be more valuable than the ones that they fixed later on. Because future collectors love collecting mistakes. And then lastly today, we've got one of the G200s. Part of the whole Generation series. I think it's the most expensive one, around $2,000. It's got the sound port. Now this one has some decent wood grain and whatnot, but I wanted to share it because zoom in on the neck. It got kind of a interesting eyebrow figuring right there. It gives it character, makes it easy to identify. But alright, Troglodytes, I hope you enjoyed tonight's episode. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and we will catch you tomorrow on the next one. Take care.